I have spoken a lot on the podcast about how to handle business conversations and selling conversations because lots of Nigerian business people don't realize that selling or trying to promote your business is not about how well you pitch. It's not about how well you toast. It's not about how well you manufacture a presentation, but it's about the quality of conversations that you have, and it's about the quality of questions that you ask. Because, first off, if you're having a conversation with someone and it is question led, the other person gets a chance to talk about themselves. They are seen to be heard. They are seen to be regarded. They are seen to be understood. And this is the kind of thing that creates likability in a conversation because you can't just come into a personal situation or a business situation and then start talking about yourself all the time and then expect that you're going to make a good impression on people. So the example that I give is the fellow who shows up to a networking session because I mentioned a long time ago when I signed up to Alumni UK, and the Alumni UK is this initiative by the British government, by the UK government, and it's an association. It's an alumni association, basically, of everyone who has passed through a United Kingdom institution of higher learning. And okay, well, for those of us who join, it's good networking. But make no mistake, from the point of view of the United Kingdom, the UK government, it's a way of promoting admissions in the UK because if people who go to UK institutions have valuable, how will I put it now, valuable graduate networks or postgraduate networks, then lots of people will think, okay, it's a good idea to go to a UK university, so that you can have access to these kinds of networks. The sort of thing that these people do already in Nigeria. That is the say Harvard Society of Nigeria, or whatever it is that they're called. All the people, all the Nigerian people who went to Harvard. They have their own small clique, their own small association. So if you attend enough of these enough of these networking events, eventually you run into that guy who just won't shut up. The guy goes from place to place to place. Usually it's a guy, sometimes it's a girl, but they just won't shut up. This is me. I'm the best. I'm the brightest. This is my area of research. I graduated first class, and five multinationals are trying to hire me. And they spend the whole evening just going from table to table, from person to person, saying the same thing. This is me. This is my business idea. I was the best in my class. I graduated first class. I have so much promise. 10 multinationals are trying to hire me. So, if trying to advance business conversations, if trying to advance business agenda, political agenda, whatever it is that you're trying to advance, if it was all a matter of toasting, pitching, and boasting, these are the kinds of individuals who you would think would be most successful. But actually, they turn out to be pretty odious when you're in the room with them because they just won't shut up. They just won't stop talking about themselves. So, this is the wrong way to try to grow your business. This is the wrong way to try and do networking. This is the wrong way to try and advance your agenda. That's if you work as an employee and there's something in the department that you want to, put on the table so that, HOD, so the head of department will back you and stuff like that. This is the wrong way to move your agenda. And so because of that, one of the things I've been doing over here on the podcast is to talk about how whenever you're in a selling situation, a business situation, a whatever situation, so long as human beings are involved, you actually need to have a process for qualification and discovery. Now, qualification and discovery, for those of you who listened to the last episode, just means you're at the stage in a business conversation or at the stage in a business relationship where you're trying to figure out who is this person that I'm talking to. Who are they? What they want? What are their needs? What are they aspiring to? What are they running away from? Is when you have a conversation on those terms that you're going to be able to figure out this is what my product or my service can do for them. And if I'm going to make a sales pitch or if I'm going to try and make a proposal or a presentation or something, I should build it around these key terms. So having qualification and discovery, talking to people and trying to figure them out, trying to figure the problem out, trying to figure the context out is the best way. that you have for trying to sell your product or for trying to sell your service. So I talk about that ad nauseum on the podcast, and I'm not going to stop because it's something that Nigerian business people and Nigerian business owners need to know: qualification and discovery. So essentially, this is what we're going to be talking about today on the podcast. Now, I know that in the past I've spoken about it, but from a very, what will I say, dry point of view. Maybe not too many examples, but I was doing some cleaning, not cleaning per se, just going through my phone and then deleting stuff, throwing away some old stuff, and I found a very old document, a client questionnaire that I used to use for qualification and discovery as a much younger wedding photographer. So I'm a former lawyer, now turned business consultant. But in between, I have done event photography, producing documentary videos, and then also being in a family export business with my brother. So I've done a bunch of things. So I found the qualification, a client questionnaire that I would use when I was at wedding shows, bridal shows, wedding shows, bridal shows, bridal events, those sorts of things that would help me to do qualification and discovery when I was talking to potential customers, when I was talking to potential clients, potential brides and grooms that I was trying to corner so that they could be my client. And so there was a bunch of stuff that I used to talk to them about. So I figured, let's just be very, very practical. I'm going to throw away the list because, of course, I don't need it anymore. But sharing the list over here on the podcast would be a very good example for those of you who keep hearing me say qualification and discovery, and you haven't seen or you haven't heard very concrete examples from me about how, what the flavor of the conversation is supposed to be like. So that's what we're going to do over here today. Now, before we get into the meat of the matter, if you'd love to connect with me, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. If you're interested in a business audit, a 15-minute sale audit, you can WhatsApp me on the same number, 080-6466-2140. And if you'd like to join my WhatsApp channel, you can hit me up on the same number, and I will hook you up. So, back to the meat of what we're doing today. This is just a set of sample questions that I used for qualification and discovery. And this is an old list, very old. So, unfortunately, based on when I created the note and stuff like that, I'm guessing that these are the sorts of things I used to use when talking to potential clients sometime after 2010. I'm not sure exactly when. Maybe this is like 2012, 2013, up until maybe like 2015. First of all, a thing to note, when it comes to qualification and discovery, or when it comes to conversation frameworks, conversation outlines, that's also another way I like to describe it because some people don't like the heavy technical terms. So I just say conversation framework or conversation outlines. Whenever you're coming up with a conversation outline, well, first of all, there's no such thing as a perfect conversation outline. There's no such thing as perfect qualification and discovery because, number one, you change all the time. So your knowledge base changes, your experience changes, your confidence and level of comfort when dealing with strangers and being put in new situations, new contexts, that changes. And so because of that, the quality of the conversations that you have will change, and the specific items that you have in your framework will change over time, as you grow and as you improve and as you move into new circumstances. So there's no such thing as a perfect list, and there's no such thing as a final list. So you will start with, let's say you're getting new into business today, and you're starting off as an architect, for instance, or you're starting off in solar sales, or you're starting off as, an environmental consultant or something. So all these three people have to do qualification and discovery. The architect needs to figure out the client. Who is this client? What do they want? The building that they want to build. Is it residential? Is it commercial? Is it industrial? What kind of project are they going to use it for? What kind of safety standards does it have to meet? What kind of occupational standards does it have to meet? Different things like that. The same thing with solar. Somebody wants to buy solar. What is it for? Is it for residential? Is it for their house? Or is it commercial? Is it for a factory? Is it for, what are their power requirements? How many machines will they power? How many TVs? How many ACs? Is this person a family man or a family woman? Okay, if so, how many children? If you're trying to power a house and the man has, 5 wives and 30 children, definitely they need a different kind of system than a fellow who's just married to, one wife, the wife of his youth, and maybe they only have 2 kids. So it doesn't matter what kind of business you do, you will need to have a conversation framework, a selling framework, a qualification and discovery framework, a whatever framework, a whatever guideline that you want to call it, but you will need it. But there won't be any perfect one because when you're a brand new architect, the list of questions that you have will be plenty because, you're scared, you're using this thing as a crutch. So you're going to ask a whole lot of questions. But then over time, with experience, you'll be able to cite some people and decode one or two things. Or you'll be able to ask a question in such a way that you ask one thing and then the question will give you like 4 or 5 bits of information. So your list will always change. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out is I don't want anybody to listen to this thing and say that, oh, this is my perfect recommendation for people who are in the wedding space or the event space, that these are the ideal list of questions you have to ask. At all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying to show you that, look, I'm still a young man, but as a much younger man in 2010, 2012, 2015, these were the kinds of things that I used to say when I was talking to potential brides, talking to potential grooms. Sorry, talking to brides and grooms who could be my potential client. So I'm not saying that this is a perfect list. And I'm not saying that you should model anything after this. I'm just trying to show you a couple of questions and to talk you some of the rationale about why I was asking these sorts of questions. Right? So, applying these principles are going to be tricky. So, if you need me to look at your own particular circumstance, that's not a problem. Remember, you can just connect with me. You call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. If you're interested in the 15-minute sale audit or you want me to look over your business processes, it's not a problem. Call me. Send me a text message or WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Or if you want to join my WhatsApp channel, hit me up on the same number and I'll hook you up. So, example questions. Now, first of all, on my list, my questionnaire that I had was the bride's name, the bride's number, and the bride's email. Now, let me point out one thing. If you listen to Brian Tracy's early stuff, Psychology of Selling, the audio thing, the audio one, not the book. In fact, I don't know why the book is different from the audio material. I don't know why. But if you listen to the audio one, there's a part where Brian Tracy talks about how creativity is required. Creativity is essential when it comes to selling. You got to be a creative individual to get that money. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because we're looking at a questionnaire, or because we're looking at a framework, or because we're looking at a checklist, some people just apply this thing in a very slavish manner. 1, 2, 3, 4, like no creativity, no flair, no personality, no nothing. The checklist is there. The questionnaire is there. Yes. So even if you didn't design it, Oga gave you questionnaire and Oga said go and sell, no problem. The fact that 4, 5, 6 of you are working from the same sheet does not mean people need to sound the same. You got to bring your own self into this thing. You say it in the way that is comfortable, that is sweet in your own mouth. That's how you do this thing. That's how you do it. And then you be conversational. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out is because on the questionnaire that Oga gave you, for instance, the thing says bride's name, number, and email. Some of you will just hold the clipboard and then you now ask the babe, please, what's your name? She will say it. You now say, what's your phone number? She will say it. You now say, what's your email? You will say, by the time you keep asking her questions like this in a robotic fashion, like, what do you expect? How did you be like, come, I didn't come here for an interview. Like, I'm looking for a wedding photographer. Do you do photography and video or not? I should go to vex for you. And reasonably so. Because you've turned this thing into a jam interview. What is your name? What is your phone number? What's your email? That's not how you do it. On the checklist, you see name, you see phone number, you see email. The way that you get this information is you keep it nice and conversational. So you hail her. When I say hail, as in Nigeria now, greeting. You go greet her now. So, sister, what's up? How you doing? or however it is that suits your personality. Or good afternoon. Welcome to my stand. How can I help you today? Oh, congratulations. I noticed that you got proposed to recently. However it is you want to start the conversation. But eventually, you get to the point where you say something like, oh, my name is Chukudi. Sorry, your name is. If that's too direct for you, you say, oh, sorry, sister, I beg, no vex. I don't want to keep calling you sister all the time. You know, what should I call you? Any which way, Sha, you're trying to find a name in a conversational way. Somebody doesn't pick up the phone and call you, and then you say, what's your name? It's not like that. Or you're at a networking event, you say, what's your name? Be conversational about this thing. So if on the checklist there is bride's name, there's number, there's email, it's not you won't ask it as if it's an interview. It's not interrogation. You're not a member of the police. You ask, engage in conversation, and as you're getting the information, just they note them down. Now the way I have always put it is I always tell whoever it is that I'm talking to, like, I beg no vex. I don't want to forget any of the things that we're talking about, really important. So I'll be making notes from time to time. I hope you don't mind. Since I've been doing this thing, nobody has ever told me no, don't write anything down. I know for some of you it sounds scary, or maybe you sound too formal, or whatever, but nobody has ever told me no. In fact, there are some situations where what I do is, as the person is talking and they say something, I nod my head, I say, and then I write it down. So I didn't ask for permission, but the fact that I say, okay, you don't mean it, and then I write it down, they can tell that I'm trying to track with this conversation. Nobody has ever stopped me to say, Oga, put your biro down, I beg. Listen to me as I'm talking to you. So don't worry. You can have your clipboard, you can have your paper, you can have your whatever, but just the sketch am. Put something down. The reason why is because as you're talking to this potential customer now, later on, you guys follow up with them on something. How will you follow up with somebody when you don't have any background information on the person? Do you know how awkward it is after a bridal show? You want to call somebody, you only have the phone number, you didn't collect the bride's name. How are you going to start that conversation? How? At least if you have the name and you remember some background information, like, her fiance's name, her boyfriend's name, and how they met, you are noting down some of those things. You can call and say, hey, Chinyere, how are you doing now? Of course, she doesn't know who it is. She'll be like, I'm fine. That whole, you understand? Like, she's answering, but she doesn't want to be rude. She doesn't want to come out and say, who is this? And then that's when we say, oh, sorry, forgive me. I'm sure you probably don't remember. This is the dude that you spoke to at last week, Brides and Babies, Bridal Affair. She'll say, okay, sorry, please don't be annoyed. I spoke to like 5 different photographers that day. I'm sorry, I can't remember. You say, no, wahala. It's me, the Benway boy. And that's the reason why, I talk about building rapport. And that's the reason why I ask people, where they're from. Because know how. If I say, where are you from? What state? And luckily for me, my name is different. Well, at least most people think my name is unique. But the thing is, if you come to my state, everybody has my name. But in other parts of Nigeria, people think my name is unique. So I know how. I always ask that question. Oh, what does your name mean? Where are you from? Eventually, the thing comes back to me. I say, oh, I'm Tiv. I'm from Benue State. Oh, really? Tawishima, how do you pronounce your name? Yeah, you tried Tawishima. Yeah, you're sure it's not German? You're sure it's not this? We always end up having that conversation. And then I'll slip in there that, I'm a Benue boy. Now, don't worry, I'm the first one you're meeting. I'm sure you probably meet another one soon. And then conversation continues. So, when I'm calling the follow up on the lady the next time, and she says, okay, sorry, who is this? Oh, sorry, don't be annoyed. I spoke to 4 photographers that day. They said, oh, yeah, it's okay, don't worry. I get that a lot. It happens. My name is Tavishima. I'm the Benue boy that I spoke to. Say, oh, Benue boy. Can you see? From building rapport now, conversation, they continue. Rapport, they flow. That's how you do it. You don't just hold your clipboard and say, sister, your name, or your phone number, or email. No, conversational. Because we're trying to build some rapport here. Right? And then you throw in something like, oh, that, by the way, how's Shukudi? Because of course you'd have asked. And you know that, her fiance, her husband to be, that name is Chukudi. So how's Chukudi, by the way? How's he doing? Rapport, conversation, they move. So, it was on my questionnaire, the bride's name. However, I want to do them. I guys get the name. It doesn't have to be name and surname. In fact, to keep things informal, I always used to just go for first name. So, first name, I put it down. A phone number, collect it. Email address, I put it down. Although for me, I used to prioritize phone number because back then, in 2010, 2012, 2013, people know they respond to email. Not to talk of now, 2026. Even then, email address they frustrate us. Like you will send email to the bride, die, she not go respond. You be in spam. So, sorry, one moment. I will be back with you all shortly. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned, I forgot, the usual warning that I'm making today's recording at home and everybody's home. And my wife needed my attention for something because she has to travel soon. She has to be in Lagos for work. So, anyway, private stuff, sha. But I'm back. So, I think I had spoken about how I'd get the bride's name, the bride's number, the email address. And I think I had spoken about how you have to keep this thing conversational. It is not an interrogation. I think I also spoke about how it's okay to ask people for permission. You say, bro, no vex, or madam, I hope you don't mind. I'm just writing down a few things so I can stay on top of this conversation. Or you've been saying some very important details around ABC, XYZ, and I don't want to forget. So, like for those of you who are in the solar space, for instance, or who are selling technical installations, physical installations, you actually should be writing down these requirements. In fact, somebody can be looking at you and be saying this guy is an airhead because you are not writing down in the requirements. So if you're working on, installing some power plant, something, it is part of the whole process. You have to be doing the power audit. How many ceiling fans? How many this? How many that? How many dB? How many circuit breaker? How many this? Asking them questions. Need to confirm something. In fact, you might even need to calculate something and say, oh, okay, look, you said your machine is 2,500 watts, but based on this and this and this, if my understanding is correct, actually, we should be looking at a rating of 3,800 watts. You should be asking questions. You should be writing these things down. Then, let's see what else. Okay, well, I can't remember what else I mentioned, but from the point of view of those of you who are listening to the podcast, you already heard everything anyway. So, yeah, so back to the context of wedding photography. So I would get the bride's name, I get her phone number, I get her email. Then, of course, I would also get the groom's name as well, because this is how we build rapport. Get the people to talk about themselves. So I also need to know the kind of person that the groom is, because sometimes at these events you'll be talking to the bride only, but on the wedding day now, you'd have to coordinate both of them, coach them through their photos, things like that. So it always helps if you had a little bit of background knowledge on the groom ahead of time. And in fact, I used to get their phone numbers so that I will call the guy. I say, what's up? Is this Chukudi? He say, yeah, who am I speaking with? So, I spoke with your wife earlier. She came to so bridal event. I'm one of the wedding photographers that she's considering, and I thought it'd be a good idea for me to reach out to you. Just get acquainted. Won't be nice for the first time we're seeing is on the wedding day. It'll be somehow now. So I just said, let me just reach out and say what's up. The guy be like, yeah, that's true. So I said, what's up? Congratulations, man. So I'm sure you're excited. He said, my brother, would they spend money anyhow? I said, I understand. That's how these things is. That's how it is. But don't worry, this day will come and pass in Jesus' name. Say amen. And then from there, conversation, just the flow. Build rapport with the guy. Build rapport with the babe. This is how we're moving the relationship forward. The personal relationship, we could move on forward one step at a time. Business relationship, we could move on forward one step at a time. One call at a time. One visit at a time. That's the way forward. So the groom, I'll get his name from the bride. I'll get his number. I'll also get his email address. But again, my own personal preference is phone number. Anytime, any day, phone number. That email is just, backup as per, sometimes the bride will drop her phone number, but then you look at this and you say, what did this guy write? Did she write 56? I mean, did she write 55? All those kind of things. So sometimes the email address will be backup. You never know. Then, of course, wedding date. Also need to get their wedding date because I have told you guys before that timelines and urgency are really, really important. If you're talking to somebody who is interested in your product or your service, and it looks like they have a need, but they don't have any sense of urgency, they don't have any timeline. It doesn't matter how sweet the conversation was. The conversation was. You don't have a deal on your hands because there is no sense of urgency. There is nothing that you can point to objectively outside of both of you to show that this person is ready to take action anytime soon. Those of you who are listening to the podcast last week, you remember the time that I spoke about my friend. Let's just call her Ada. Ada said, how far do you shoot weddings in the East? And then, because she's my friend, I forgot. I abandoned my process. I said, finally, the Lord has done it. She started laughing because I've been teasing her, Ada, you're a fine girl. When are you going to marry? That is not good. You're just staying in the market like this. It's not good now. That you supposed to marry. In fact, myself, if I was not married, I for don't propose. Just used to tease her like that. So when she said, how far do you cover weddings in the East? I said, the Lord has done it. And then we laughed. And then I started, asking her questions, what she has planned about this, that. Of course, I asked her, who is the guy? And she was like, I beg, Joe, just leave that matter. And then we continue talking. But I didn't ask her when is the wedding date. So me and Ada, we spoke for 1 hour. Then by the time we finished, and I said, no, but seriously, Ada, though, what's his name? Who's the guy? When am I going to meet him? And she said, oh, no, he hasn't proposed yet. I felt like an idiot. I have spoken for 45 minutes, 1 hour. I did not ask some very, very simple questions. Wedding date. Dates and timelines, they give you a sense of urgency. You now know whether you have a deal or not. It doesn't matter how well I handled that conversation with Ada. The very fact that, she's interested. And, there's a guy, but, the guy never proposed. She's just doing her research, just in case. No matter how sweet the conversation was, excuse me, I did not have a deal on my hands. I didn't. And this is the reason why in the beginning, it's important that you have a process and you follow your process. So simple slip-ups like this, you didn't ask when is wedding date. You assume that you have a good deal because the person is the president's goddaughter or something, and because they have money and blah, blah, blah. Only to find out that she's just doing research. Or the guy proposed, but because election is around the corner, the wedding is not going to be until after election. See, I'm currently making this podcast recording now in April of 2026. Election is going to be in roughly a year's time, into 2027. If she's the president's goddaughter, yes, congratulate yourself that you're in the running. Because if you close this deal, the money will be good. The money will be sweet. Sweet money. But the thing is, president's daughter-in-law, so because of that, everything will be based off election. And you know how these things are now. So the president's goddaughter, of course, will be marrying Senate President something. You know how they marry themselves now. So everything is based on election. So it doesn't matter how sweet the conversation you had today was now. Because nothing they happen until after election. Even that election itself, until after inauguration. So you can have a sweet conversation with her today. But the thing is, election is earlier on in the year. Inauguration will be around that kind, like May 29, 30. So inauguration will be like May into May, June, Abby. Like May into June. Inauguration, all those, everything. Before the families will now settle down to now start discussing the wedding date. So this thing about timelines, very, very important. You sell solar. You are discussing installations. You just ask, how soon do you want this up and running by? Simple. If the person starts dropping some days or some months that sounds favorable, you know that you have a deal on your hands. Oh, how soon would you like this up and running? I'm hoping that I should have found a solar vendor in another 2 months. And you just ask, 2 months? Wow, that's very specific. How come? Is there any particular project you're working towards? You ask. The person says, well, those are parts of the things we show our investors, we show our board, to keep us on track for so and so. As the person is talking about the timeline, you are now getting a sense of how serious is this timeline. So you sell solar or you're selling other power things. You're not asking people, how soon do you want this done by? Just simple question like that, just to test um, sense of urgency, test timelines. You're not asking, how the hell will you know if you have a correct deal or not? It's not just a matter of you're talking to somebody, the person's skin is smooth, the person talks well, and the person drives a G Wagon. It's not just that. Yes, they have all the money and they look right, they sound right, but is there a sense of urgency? Do they have a timeline? What is that timeline? Find a way, figure it out. Now, this is one area that I was lucky or kind of spoiled because as a wedding photographer, it's right there, the wedding date. So you didn't have to be too creative. You just ask them, what's the wedding date? So if you sell something else, you have to look for stylish ways of asking. So for solar, asking them, how soon would you like this done by? If you're an architect, I guess, how would you ask as an architect? Okay, I guess for an architect, if you wanted to get a sense of the timelines, maybe you'd have to tie it to the substantial thing on ground. So if the people that you're talking to are property developers and they want you to draw design for them for semi-detached duplex something that's how all the houses in the estate are going to be. Just asking them now as an architect, just asking them now, oh cool, okay, so when is groundbreaking ceremony? You see, simple question like that. When is groundbreaking ceremony? You're already beginning to get some idea, some sense, you know, getting some sense of their timelines. Are these people serious or not? If you're saying when is groundbreaking ceremony, you're talking to them in 2026, and they're saying, well, we're thinking of green lighting the project sometime in 2030. In your mind, you now know that, okay, you know what? May I follow them the yarn? Let me continue talking to these people, but this is not a deal because I'm asking them in 2026. I say when is groundbreaking ceremony, and they're saying, well, we're thinking of something, maybe 2030. I mean, that's in 4 years' time. But as an architect now, especially as a young architect, you just finished school. Body they hot. You need money. You need cash. You need good cash. You're talking to somebody, and you say, "Oh, when is groundbreaking ceremony?" And they're saying that, we just confirmed from the governor. Governor said he's going to be available. It's going to be available February of 2027. Now you're dealing with somebody that's serious because this is April of 2026. The person is giving you for groundbreaking ceremony. The person is giving you a date that is like 10 months ahead. Okay, good. Now, since the groundbreaking ceremony, the date is 10 months ahead, that means definitely you must have finished the designs for the building or for the factory, the month before. Like, you can now see that you have a sense of the timeline, how you can be planning yourself. The follow up, where you go to follow up, how you chase them, whether you go close mark them or you give them space. In your mind, you can begin to see everything. You see? So, this is why I was saying that even though this is my qualification and discovery list as a wedding photographer, you can see that the principle is the same. No matter your field, the principle is the same. So, of course, I would ask the bride, what's the wedding date? If they haven't proposed to her, then there's nothing there. If they have proposed to her and the wedding date is in 4 months' time, good, 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 making progress. But anyway, one thing that I figured out, anybody who reached out to me and the wedding date was 1 week from the time we're talking, Omo, that is a bad sign, no? Because, well, for wedding photography anyway, you're talking to somebody now. What's today's date, sir? Sorry, hold on. Okay, 6th of April. You're talking to somebody 6th of April. And then you say, when is the wedding date? And then the lady says it's 13th of April. Usually it's a bad sign because when the date is close like that, they're in a rush. They don't care. They just need somebody, anybody, quick. And usually the cheapest person. So those ones, I didn't like having that kind of conversation at all. Once the person tell me that, that their wedding date is next week or is in 2 weeks or more, I just lose morale. Because I know that this one will be a fight. But anyway, trying to figure out the wedding date. Then I would also ask questions about the style or theme of the wedding, because you'd have to prepare yourself. How will I put it? Like mentally, you suppose prepare yourself. You suppose gauge, and then of course you discuss with your crew some of the ideas that you try for the photographs or for the video or for the kind of questions. So you ask about style or themes of the wedding. Then what else? Okay, how do you want to feel on your wedding day? That's something that is particular to those of us in the event space. Then let me see. Uh, so around money, I had some stylistic ways that I tried to bring up the money conversation, and one of them was around this thing of DIY. That's do it yourself. I don't know about now, but back then, 2010, 12, 15, there was this thing in Nigeria, this DIY culture was there. Some brides would insist that they want to handle some things themselves. And whenever you're with a DIY bride, it's either they are incredibly sophisticated, meaning, they have taste. So they want to close mark some things, or they are incredibly broke. So they're trying to, you understand, trying to save money. So that's why they want to do some things themselves. So it was something in my checklist. I would ask that. Oh, okay. So are you guys a DIY couple? You say, are you a do-it-yourself couple? Sorry, what does that mean? Like, are you going to let the wedding planner handle everything, or there's some things you want to do yourself? We say, oh yes, 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 yes. Actually, my auntie is a very good cook, so my auntie is going to handle the this, and this person will handle the that. As the bride is talking in my mind, I now know that okay, this is a person with the money conscious. So I now know that okay, this money conversation go hard. So things like that. So those are some ways that I used to stylishly ask about the money thing. So asking, are you a do-it-yourself DIY couple? That was just me. Really, I was just trying to find out how they are when it comes to money. So for your own product, for your own service, you need to try and figure out ways to ask the money conversations. Then another question that I used to use to try and figure out money, but also because it was a practical question as per logistics, was I'd ask about the house, I'd ask about the hotel, I'd ask about the church, and I'd ask about the reception. I'd ask about all the venues. So it's a very practical question because there'll be lots of running around because you start from the house, then you move to the church. You need to know how far away the church is so you can plan your movement. So back then, for some, if the events are too far, if the venues are too far, I'll just hire a driver for that day, so that movement can be fast. You know, just come outside, get inside the car. The driver just drives while he's looking for a place to park. I just jump down, move to the next venue. You understand? So I used to ask those questions just so that I know how to plan my movement. So you ask them, oh, okay, you're getting dressed in Popsy's house. Okay, cool. Where's Popsy's house? Okay, Mitama, cool. Then from there, the hotel. Where's the hotel? Oh, okay, hotel, Mitama. Okay, the church. Okay, it's the Catholic Church in Mitama. Oh, okay, right, no problem. Then where's the reception? Oh, the reception is at Dunes in Mitama. Oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. So in my mind now, I'll now know one thing that okay, running around won't be too harsh on that day because everything they the same local government, the same locale. So movements go not too porous. Moving around will be okay. But then, like I said, was a way that I used to kind of cheat and see whether they have money. If you say her father's house is in Metama, Metama is an upscale part in Abuja. So if her father's house is in Metama, the hotel is in Metama, they're using dunes that has helipad. Abi doesn't have a helipad. Abi has a swimming pool. So anyway, but she's mentioning all those places. I will now know that okay, I'm talking to some people that have serious back. So therefore, we might be able to make a good one on this wedding. So this is how I use one of the ways I used to cheat to talk about money. Now I'm much more direct when it comes to the money thing. I ask people straight up, how much have you budgeted for this? Or I tell them straight up that look, for what the things I've talked about so far, executing this kind of project could cost anything between this and anything between that. Is this something you budgeted for? So now I just ask directly. But back then, this is how I used to cheat. Are you a DIY couple? I'm cheating. I'm trying to see whether their hand is aka gum. They don't like spending money. Or, where are the venues? So this was a way to cheat. Then I'll also ask questions about the wedding party. When we say wedding party, we just mean the number of people that are going to be there. Number of bridesmaids, groomsmaids, whether grandma is coming, grandfather, again, mother of the groom, mother of the bride, maid of honor, bridesmaids, flower girl, ring bearer. Okay, that was also another way of me cheating because the bigger the wedding party, sometimes, the more money these people have. You understand? So I know some of you will be laughing or you're not impressed. I was asking I was stylishly trying to figure out how much money these people have. But look, it's something. It is important. You need to know if people can afford your product or your service before you continue to invest time in them. It's not as if people that don't have money are not worthy of your time and attention. It's just that there's no point in spending 1 month building relationship with someone only for the person to say you're too expensive. If this thing is going to die because of money, it's best to kill it within 2 or 3 days. Talk to the person on Monday. By Wednesday, people will decide that, okay, now money is going to be an issue. Then you end it. Instead of you talk to somebody on the 1st of January, you're doing relationship building, you're bouncing around issues. Then on February 28th, the person now tells you that, oh, I don't have money. And believe me, I've been in that situation before. In fact, I felt like an idiot. I felt like an idiot. I won't lie. I really felt like an idiot. Pursuing somebody 3 months, then they now say that, you're too expensive. Anyway, I wasn't angry at them. I was angry at myself. I said, I'm me cause I should have brought up the money thing earlier. So, yeah, about the wedding party. Then also, it had some implications on how many people would need to shoot if we're having a very large bridal party, then we might need some assistance, second shooters, somebody to hold the light stand, and stuff like that. So these are also questions that things that you should be mindful of in your qualification and in your discovery process. You're trying to figure out what is the scope of the job, what are the factors of the job that are going to affect your manpower, how many people you need, how much equipment you need, how much resources you need, how much raw materials that you need. You see, this is the reason why I say do not issue a quote unless you've done qualification and discovery, because now you have all the information that you need that you can give a valid quote. Because it sucks to tell somebody that, look, bros, your money now 2.5. Then when you start going forward, you now realize that, oh, if this thing is going to be profitable, I should have collected 3.6. It really sucks to have those sorts of conversations. So in the qualification and discovery process, you should be asking these questions early. Sorry, one moment. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. I am back. And yes, you guessed right, was my wife again. She named my attention for something. By the way, if you're a young man, this is the reason why it's nice to marry a woman that loves you. Because, if she loves you, she go, they feel you, if you understand what I'm saying. All right. So, okay, I think I stopped on the size of wedding party as a wedding photographer because I was trying to figure out, stylishly, figure out how much money they have. Also, I was also trying to figure out the different aspects of the event that will determine how I can give an accurate cost. Because you get some weddings where, because it's a small something, you can shoot it by yourself, no problem. Just you, no problem. But then some weddings, excuse me, because some weddings are huge, you will need boys, like 4 or 5 boys, 2 of you at the bride's place, 2 of you at the groom's place. Then maybe somebody will be at the event ahead of time, maybe like 2 people. Then you have one person stationed at red carpet to be capturing all the dignitaries that are coming, president, governor, deputy speaker, somebody permanent like that. So you ask all these questions because if maybe because it's the president's goddaughter, out of the top of your head, you just call the biggest number you can think of. Maybe you say 25 million. And they agree, and then they transfer 20 million first. They say they will give you the balance of 5 million at the end. But then by the time you start looking at everything, the number of days that the shoot will go on, the different venues, and maybe the traditional now, for instance, okay, Tinubu is a Lagosian, so maybe the traditional will be in Lagos. You didn't factor in cost of flight, cost of hotel, all those things. By the time you now calculate everything, you say, oh boy, if I don't charge them like 40M, that one is too late. It's somehow, you now look unprofessional. Anyway, you have to go back because, how you do this thing. If at the end of the day, now 40M, you need now 40M. It's just that you look like a very unserious somebody to go back to start saying, sister, we agreed on 25, but, based on logistics, based on this, based on that, we have to go up to 40. You now seem somehow. So Have a proper qualification and discovery process and thrash out all these things early so that by the time you give them a quote, your quote is one. One is one. Your quote has accounted for everything. You know how many cameras you need. You know how many boys you need. That's for events. You know how many photo books you're making. If it is solar, you know how many panels you need, how many rooftops you're covering, how many batteries you need, what kind of battery, whether lithium or this or this or that or that. Oh, sorry, one moment. Yeah, my attention is needed. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. This time was my boys. Like I said, holidays are on, and they've been making friends with some of the neighborhood kids. And anyway, now when boys are playing, definitely do one issue or another. So where was I? Okay, no, I think I was talking about how qualification and discovery is really important because it gives you the information that you need so you can make an accurate quote. Very good. Then another question that I used to ask as a younger, because I'm still a young man, I'm still a fine boy. I used to ask about family challenges because after a while I realized that sometimes you step into some kind dynamics because there's this wedding I remember that we noticed that all the bridesmaids, all of them, they will coalesce one side. Then there was one particular bridesmaid that, like, she was always on her own, like they didn't really like her. And I was trying to, for the purpose of picture now, you suppose, how will I put it? Like if you take picture and then like everybody clearly make one click one side, then one click is in another side, it'll be somehow, you know. Because when you are at an event live and people they form cliques, it's not a problem because cliques form and then cliques dissolve. But the thing is, a photograph is permanent. So when you take a picture like that, that click is frozen in time. So I was trying to get her to blend with the group, but then later on now, I overheard some people talking and I realized what was going on because what happened was the girl's popsy. Now, na Nigeria we did so polygamy now. Woman matter. So the bride and her friends, all of them one side, but then the other wife now, the younger wife on the bridal train, that was her daughter. The second wife wanted her daughter to be on the bridal train by force, by force. They quarreled the whole thing, but Shadi said, no problem, she should be on the bridal train. But that was now the awkward situation. The bride and her friends were forming clique on their own. And of course, they didn't want nothing to do with the other one because he's the other woman's daughter. And of course, the other girl knew that, look, nobody even wants me herself. This wedding, I didn't even want to come for this wedding. I have my own paroles. They forced me by force, by force. Which kind of politics be this? You should have just left me in my own life. So after a while, I started asking people beforehand so I'll know what it is that I'm stepping to. But of course, I didn't used to just come out and say the popsy married to wife. No. Or the popsy have children outside. No. I just used to bring it up conversationally, just talking about their family. But I was just trying to figure out, are the parents divorced? Do they have step siblings? Or I'll ask about deceased relatives. Because sometimes it's a nice idea to, maybe, Popsy don't die. Might not be a bad idea to honor Popsy during the ceremony. And if that kind of thing is going to happen, as a photo crew and as a video crew, you want to be aware, so you capture all those kind of things. So yeah, I used to ask those sorts of questions, but not that I was carrying a clipboard and asking them, the Popsy enter bush, just say have children outside. No, just conversational, just try and figure things out. Especially since even myself, in my own family, we get those kind of issues. So it was even good self was a way of building rapport that, oh really? Yeah, even you. My sister, that's what ABO, like even me too, even in my own family, we get this kind of issue too. And then people just laugh and then you bond over the whole thing. So yeah, things about like that. Oh, then also back then I used to ask them, how did you hear about us? That's me and my whole crew. That's me. I used to handle photos. My brothers used to handle videos. My brother-in-law used to do editing. Then there's a bunch of other guys. One guy was a drone pilot, and Sha. So how did you hear about us? Now the reason why I used to ask that one is just so I know about marketing, like which one is working. What do you need to double down on? So if somebody says Instagram, if you talk to 50 brides, 49 of them say they saw you on Instagram, you now know that okay, this year I got to double down on Instagram. I need to run more Instagram ads, things like that. So how'd you hear about us? So Um, this is not an exhaustive list. There are other things. So, but back in 2010, 2013, 2015, these were the sorts of things that I was asking my potential clients about, my potential customers about. And from some of the issues that we've spoken about now, stemming from these questions, I hope you guys can see why you need to have this thing as a process that you do every single time. Because if you don't follow it, you'll miss out on some important information. Your quote will not be reliable. You won't have all the information that you need to do an effective job. And you will not have opportunities for building rapport. Because the more you get people talking about themselves, the more they like you, the more they feel you, the more they trust you. And the more they talk, the more it gives you opportunities to build rapport. So if somebody says, oh yeah, his name is Chukudi, we met back when we were in uni. You say, hey, which uni did you go to? Say, I went to University of Aberdeen. You say, oh, for real? You went to University of Aberdeen? I went to Aberdeen as well. Say, are you serious? I didn't see your face. When did you graduate? Oh, I left there in 2008, 2009. Okay, where did you go? Oh, I went then 2020. So, oh, okay, that means you guys are on the youngish end then. Yeah, I said, well, yeah, actually, yeah, we're quite young. I'm 20 days, he's 20 days. You see, conversation, they flow. Because she was talking about herself, we now uncovered an element of commonality that we both went to the same uni. So, get people talking. It's not about showing up and saying, I'm the best, I'm the brightest, I'm the cheapest, I'm the fastest, I'm the this, I'm the this, I'm the that. No. So, after getting all this information in my qualification and discovery process, my next step was, after this sweet convo, all this conversation, I will try and call the person after the bridal fair and I'll try and set a meeting so that they can come to my studio and look at sample albums. Because back then, my darling wife, she really designed my studio. It was real nice. I had mirrors in my studio from the top all the way to the bottom. At first, I thought it was excessive. But my wife said, number one, to create illusion of space. At least your studio is small. But with this mirror, your studio will look big. I didn't understand that, but when I saw it, I say, "Wow, okay, I see I see. It didn't make sense." And then my wife also said, "Plus, women like to look at themselves in the full length mirror." I said, "Yeah, okay." And she said it. It came to pass. So that was part of the design of my studio. Mirrors from ceiling all the way to the floor. Then we also had plush carpeting, like blue or so. Yeah, blue carpeting. Then wooden shelves. Sorry, one moment. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. And don't worry, this is going to be the last time. So this time was the kids. My younger son got into a misunderstanding, let's just put it that way, with one of the other children. So, where was I? Okay, so I was saying now that all these questions that I was asking these potential clients of mine, the brides, sometimes the groom, when the groom is there. But even if the groom is there, the process will be the same. And I'll get the information for the bride and I'll reach out to the girl eventually. Because, in my opinion, both parties were integral to making the choice. So I always liked to be in touch with both the bride and the groom to try and close the deal that way. If there are multiple parties who are required to close the deal, make sure that you're in touch with as many of them as possible. So, excuse me. So I believe I was saying that all this information that I was gathering on the couple, I wasn't gathering it just for gathering's sake. I was gathering this information because it would help me to give an accurate quote. It will give me opportunities to build rapport. Also, I didn't just stop here. So it's not just about gathering information. After the bridal fair, after the bridal expo, whenever it is that we got introduced, I would try to book a meeting so that they would come to my studio. And the whole point of them coming to the studio was just we needed a much more quiet environment so that we can talk. Because the problem with bridal expos or any kind of business expo, like Abuja Trade Fair, Lagos Trade Fair, Nasarawa Agricultural Expo, or whatever, the problem is that these places are loud. There are lots of other vendors there. Everybody's trying to do business. There are 4 or 5 DJs playing music. You can't really have good conversations with people. So this is where you get the in-depth conversation. And then if you want to show people samples and start discussing particular proposals, you need a nice, quiet, calm atmosphere that you control, where people can have a conversation. Even if you can't control it, but share, maybe like you're going to their office, no problem. So long as it's a nice, cool, quiet, calm atmosphere where you can have a conversation and start going in depth. So it was it was not on the bridal floor, but it was now in my studio that I would now try to get them to look at albums. Have a look at this album. This one is glossy. This one is matte. Which one do you like? Okay. This one is 100 pages. This one is about 50 something pages. Which one do you like? Uh, this one is wooden cover. This one is padded leather cover. Which one do you like? You see, we're now presenting specific options. We're not looking at specific features. I'm trying to gain their feedback, their buy-in on the different features that I'm showing them. Because, this ultimately is what is going to determine what I show the couple. Because lots of you make the mistake of somebody shows up, you now start giving them presentation, giving them proposal based on what you like. No be like that. Because like in the wedding photography space now, for instance, one of my guys, Shegun, in fact, that's his real name, Shegun. That's how the guy torpedoed one of my deals. I was talking to one of the babes, and she wanted uh back then they used to call it a synthetic. Now, I didn't like synthetic because I thought synthetic was cheap. Like the look was cheap. Shegun also thought the look was cheap, but I know that it's not about me. She said that's what she likes. No problem. That's what she likes. It's even good, ma, because the production cost was actually lower. So that means I'll make a higher profit margin on it. She had decided that that's what she wanted. Only for Shegun to now show up later on. I was like, babe, now this one you want? No, now this thing is kind of cheap now. Babe, what do you think? That's how the babe begin the second guess. That's when Shegun realized what he had done. Then after the babe left the meeting, Shegun started apologizing and say, guy, I beg no vex. Na me fuck up. I know saying na me fuck up. I beg no vex, no vex. But anyway, doubt had been introduced. So it's not about you. You don't want to show somebody something based on what you like. That's not how it works. It's not based on what you like. It's based on what they like. When it comes to solar, for instance, you might think that lithium is the best thing since sliced bread. But if somebody says that lithium isn't no new technology, you say yes, it's the newest on the market. And the person says, I don't trust anything new. Give me old battery. It's not about you. You have told the person the pros and the cons. You are giving the person, you show the person A, you show the person B. The person say, version A is the new one. I don't like anything new. Give me something that is old. Give them the thing that is old. Build them accordingly. That is your presentation. That is your proposal. So it's not based on you. So that is also part of the reason why we're doing all this grammar, all these questions. It's just so that when the time comes, if you're an architect, the house that you design is the kind of house that they like. If you're in the solar space, the kind of installation, the kind of setup that you propose, that you issue invoice for them, is the kind of one that they're looking for. If you're in the photography and video space, the video, the film that you shoot, the photo that you shoot, the book that you design, the wedding video that you edit is according to their tastes. Because all these questions that we've been asking, how do you want to feel on your wedding day? How did you guys meet? How are you introduced? Oh, tell me more about the groom, blah, blah, blah. What's the style of your wedding? Blah. All these things, you will now know how it is that you edit. Because honestly speaking, yes, wedding video is wedding video. But the way that you will edit the video for a redeemed chick is not the same way that you shoot the video for, let's say, House on the Rock, House on the Rock babe. It's different. It's very, very different. The way that you will shoot and edit photos or videos for a Yoruba Owambe, person, how they can be now, is not the same that you shoot a photo and video for, let's say, she comes from, one of these tribes in the Middle Belt, like some of these tribes in Plateau State that are very conservative. Maybe they go to Ekwa Church, they go to cooking church, The way you shoot an Ekwa cooking wedding, the way you do their video, is not the same way that you do a what's up, Yoruba, Owambe, jump up and down kind of wedding. So this is the reason why you ask all these kinds of questions. The next step is to sit somebody down and start looking at specific proposals. And you're making a proposal or a presentation or an offer or whatever it is based on all the information that you've gotten so far. After that, you have to start discussing pricing and specific options based on all this convo. And of course, for those of you who've been listening for any length of time, you know that my own recommendation is always put 3 proposals on the table. Okay, mommy, Oga, sister, brother, based on what we discussed. There's option A, option B, option C. Option A, these are the advantage. Option B, this is the advantage. Option C, this is the advantage. Option A is this amount, B is this amount, C is this amount. So, which are you interested in? Which one catches your fancy? Which one reflects a realistic budget for you? Whichever way, put the options on the table, and then you stay in the pocket, stay in the game, and then you see how you can advance the conversation forward. Now, the reason why I say 3 proposals is because if you only have 1 proposal on the table, the answer is either yes or no. Well, let me think about it. Yes is good. No is also good because it means they're not interested. Let me think about it. No, that one is bad. That's a bad answer. But the thing is, we're trying to stay in the conversation. So give yourself options. Don't just make 1 proposal. Make 3. So that's it for today, because I think I've spoken about a lot. So if you've gotten value from the episode and you'd love to connect with me, you can call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. If you're interested in a 15-minute sale audit or to audit any of your business processes, you can WhatsApp me on the same number, 080-6466-2140, and you can join my WhatsApp channel by just sending me a WhatsApp message on the same number, and I will hook you up. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Sorry for the multiple interruptions and sorry for the very very long episode today. So make sure the next episode is shorter and hopefully quieter with less interruptions. So I'll catch you all some other time.